The book of Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 11. In those days went there out of Yashar'el wicked men, who persuaded many in Israel, Yashar'el, saying, let us go and cut a covenant with the heathen that are all around about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. And they made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. In other words, persuaded. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have dominion over 2 realms. Shalom, Yashar'el, Elder DFG. Hey, my brothers and sisters, I thought I would start right there and then get deeper into this particular teachings on this day. I want to thank my brothers and sisters, first of all, who were with us in the Tanakh study, the most recent Tanakh study, depending on when you're hearing this message. That would have been the 30th of the month of July. And that I really appreciate, your attendance, your commitment, and many things you could have been doing, many things could have caught your attention to take you away. But somehow you muscled through, and we talk about that all the time, and you were there. And we know, as the book of Enoch says, that Yahuah is writing down every single righteous act that we do. And so I want to thank you guys again for your commitment, for your desire, your hunger to learn the ways of Yahuah. And that does not disregard you guys who are listening to this message. But I will say to you again, we are at a place in time, this is to all of you, where this earth is getting smaller, for lack of a better word. What do I mean by that? Yahuah is judging this place. You can see it in every indicator. You can see it in every sign. Whether it be earthquakes happening, a lot more frequently, new diseases popping up. There's a flesh-eating disease out there. Some of you may know about it, some of you don't. One of our dear sisters, Jackson, who works in the medical field, brought it to my attention on yesterday, a flesh-eating bacteria. And this bacteria makes 80,000 people a year sick and kills about 100 on average. And that number is probably going to increase. And then again, it may have already increased, but as you know, Mr. Trump defunded, the Center for Disease Control. He defunded it. And primarily because, that particular organization was kind of monitoring what happens inside of Israel. I know many of you think, well, it's a global organization, Elder. It is a global organization, but just because it's global does not mean it doesn't target people. We saw that with COVID. I can leave that right there. We saw that with COVID. It started in China and ended up, mama, papa, the people of color, you guys are the most exposed. So now we've got to do warp speed and see if we can get you guys, healthy through inoculating you. I'll leave it right there. We saw how that ended. So he defunded that particular program, or all these programs that would monitor, the wellness of people who don't have resources. Let me say it better. People who pay into a system that don't care about them having resources. Taxation without representation. I'll get there, because as you just heard me read in Maccabees, making covenants with the heathens, trusting the heathen system of things, pouring into them as they're slowly but surely, brothers and sisters, pulling back from us. This is why DEI has been done away with, diversity, equity, inclusion. And I'm not, let me be crystal clear, I'm not an advocate of looking for this government for handouts. As a matter of fact, I'm very adversarial to that. But yet I'm a realist. And I know that many of our people, through design, through careful design of the heathen, are financially in positions where they can't afford this expensive health care. The healthcare industry is probably the most lucrative industries on this earth, especially in America, a country that's supposed to be so free and so engaging and so embracing and so rich and so great. Yet will put you in a poorhouse if you can't pay your medical bills. It's the hypocrisy. It's the disgust. It's the financial raping of people. And so when this book tells us, not to make covenants with those heathens, it's an all-inclusive. It's saying, do not put money in bags with holes in it. Do not take what little resource you have and plant it or give it or be forced into giving it or intimidated into giving it into a wicked heathen system that systematically targets you and your people. Talking about Israel. Those who are in our communities who cannot afford that, health care. So these programs that these heathens have come up with, supported by many of these people that many of you have voted into Congress, are now slowly but surely taking these benefits away. Whether it be the SNAP program for food, housing program for those who are having rent subsidies, medical programs like Medicaid and Medicare, which more of the people per capita. Yeah, the heathens are the biggest vaporizers of that. It's a word that I just learned, vaporizing, bloodsuckers, because there's more of them sucking off the system. But per capita, it affects us more, per capita. Look that word up if you don't know what it means. And when you're a targeted people and you pay into a system that targets you to harm you, to financially strip you of your independence, then you're a fool. And they use wicked Israelites among us to come and try to promote this. Oh, no, it's the right thing. Why would we be a part of a program that helps out homosexuality? Because this is what they tried to make it about. No, it was about stripping poor people of the little scrap that they had. And now you have a wicked system, a wicked heathen president who's stripping all these programs away from the poor people, but he never said stop paying your taxes. Because if these programs are there to support poor people, then why are poor people putting tax dollars into this if these tax dollars don't represent them? Isn't that the very reason why this American so-called revolution was fought? Because of taxation without representation? This is what they tell you in their history books. The poor white trash who came here from England, who now have enriched themselves at the expense of slave labor, cheap labor, fought against a government tyranny that wanted to take their money but not represent them, not give them the things that they needed to strive to make America great again. And they were wise enough to pick up guns, sticks, bricks, whatever they can get their hands on and say, I'll be damned. No representation, no taxation. So as they peel back these programs, CDD included, just remember, if you're paying into that, it's the equivalent of putting money in bags with holes in it. It's allowing these people to make wicked covenants, or these covenants that were already made. Let me say it that way. But using Israelites among us, so people, and some of them aren't Israelites, I understand that, but these so-called, representatives, and also some of these heathens who are among us, Israelite heathens, who like to push fear. Oh, if you don't pay that, brother, you know that, they're going to come and take this and they're going to come and take that, sister. You better pay that. But yet, when you look at what the system does for them, they have every kind of little loophole you can think of. And they're creating loopholes by the day to ensure that they don't pay anything into the system. Especially those who are so-called white collar or above. They have tax attorneys that they hire to show them, to teach them and help them not pay any taxes. But you so poor, you can't even buy a pair, shoes, for your children, to be educated, if you want to call that education. What they're doing to the children is really indoctrination. But they're telling you, if you don't pay them back, they're going to come and get you. Tell you to get to be able to get a better earning job, then you need to go to college. But to go to college, you got to get grants. And then when you go to get the grants are so, so absorbent that when you do get a job, you can't even survive because you got to pay back the student loan. And then they threaten you now, saying if you don't pay it back, then we're going to come and we're going to seize this and seize that. Well, here's what I understand, and here's what I know, brothers and sisters. They can't put all 30 million plus of us in prison. They don't have enough debtors' jails for that. But see, none of this works if we're going to have wicked Israelites among us who are still loving the master. You know, those Negroes on these plantations. They'll never come off the plantation because they love master more than master love himself. They're always making up excuses for master. Well, you don't understand. You know, master is good. No, it's in our best interest. Oh, no, there's no place like America. Surely, you know, you can hate America all you want, but where else you want to live? Well, guess what? If you enjoy being exploited, taken advantage of, tax, but no, you know, representation of that tax, being targeted, stereotyped, then I guess you're foolish enough to believe it. But the one thing, you know, if you're listening to this teaching, you'll have no excuse because you won't say you weren't warned. You won't be able to say you were not warned. You won't be able to say, well, nobody was saying anything. We didn't have any leadership. Nobody cared about our people. You know, the elderly people, not the elderly because they ain't a goddamn thing elderly about me, but the older people, you know, they sold us out. Well, I didn't sell you out. I'm still here. I'm still talking to the young men and to the young women, and I'm talking to the people in my age group. I'm talking to everybody. Now what's your excuse? And I'm saying to you, each and every one of my brothers and sisters, it's time to pull back. If you can't, look, let's say it like this. We're in a state of financial collapse all over this flat earth. That if you can't pay something straight out with cash, you don't need to have it. I'm going to say it to you again. If you got to go to the borrower, because the book said what the borrower is slave to the lender. If you got to go to the borrower to get it, you don't probably need it. And if you feel like you do, learn to sacrifice. Learn to do without. But here's something else, a little, you know, something that's not said as often as it should be said. Do you know if we were thinking as a collective group, Israel, thinking Israel for Israel, just like the heathens think the heathens for the heathens, then we would be able to help each other without interest, because our book speaks against interest. Israel cannot, inside of our Torah, of course, we're not allowed to charge interest. So if I gave you $1 loan, all you owe me is $1. And I have to give you 7 years to pay that $1 back. Oh, and by the way, if you can't pay that $1 back in 7 years because you're not financially in a position to do it, I forgive that debt. This is how beautiful the Torah is, the very Torah that they tell you to hate, the very Torah they tell you can't keep. It's the exploiters and the wicked Israelites among us in the church, in the community, in the government, in the schools, in the medical industry, in corporate America, who come and sell you on just the opposite. Oh, we need master. Who can treat you better than a heathen? If you marry one, you really going to be coming up. You can get you a zaddy daddy. And he'll just use you up. She'll just use you up. Suck all the life out of you. We call it soul stealing. And one day you're going to look up and recognize you were played the fool. But you'll have no excuse after this day, after this message, to continue on. If they're eliminating social programs that benefit our children, if they're coming up with programs that disadvantage, let me say it again. If they're coming up with programs that disadvantage us and still tax us for the very programs that they were long ago said they were taxing us so that they could take care of those of us who were financially in a situation so that we can have quality of life, then tell me again. Help me understand. Why would you allow them to still financially put you at a disadvantage by paying into a system that respects you, that shows zero respect for you, for fear of intimidation? Somehow or another, they're going to do something to you. They're going to take something from you that you fear, taking something from you that you don't even have in the first place. But they'll tell you, ignore the Torah, don't listen to the Torah, stay in church, follow Christianity, follow whatever they're doing. What did they tell us? Obey those who have authority over you. Slaves, obey your masters. For they are put in place by Yahuah as a goddamn lie. And I say it's a goddamn lie because Deuteronomy 17 and 15 said the only people that are supposed to be over us is Israel. Our kings, our governors, our leaders are supposed to be homegrown. What I mean, bloodline. But there are so many wicked Israelites among us. Now we're in a situation, brothers and sisters, that, it's hard to identify. But Yahuah always has a plan. Yahuah always has a plan. And his plan was, as Daniel said, in the last days, what? Knowledge would increase. Last days, he said, what? The books would be open again, talking about the so-called sealed books. In the last days, the Torah would come back into its prominence. And Yahuah said, in the last days, I'm going to raise up prophets from among you, like unto yourself. Them I want you to listen to. Because we're going to lead you out of the bondage. And a big part of that is rebuking and coming out of a heathenistic system that has been set to exploit you wherever you are on this flat earth, but especially in America for the last 500, 600 years. Whether you were colonized around the world or you were enslaved in the islands and in the Americas. They used their religion. I don't care if it was Islam. I don't care if it was Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Catholicism. All focused and targeted on disrespecting Yah's Torah and teaching you to do the same thing, brothers and sisters. And now we're here to say, hell no, we won't go. Stop. Yahuah would have never told us to honor wicked kings. That was a form of punishment. You go back and you read Deuteronomy 28, start reading at verse 1, it tells you clearly that not all of us are under a punishment, that there were always going to be some of us who Yahuah would be with, because we will be honorable, we will be faithful to his Torah. And there are stories about it. Go read Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 3, and see how Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel stood up against wicked Nebuchadnezzar and told him, we're not bowing down to your system. And no, you're not going to tell us what we can have and what we can eat. They were threatened. Their lives were literally thrown, their lives, let me see how you say it a better way. They were executed for their conviction. They went beyond threatening them. They threatened them, but then they followed through on their threats. They threw them in the fire. But guess what, brothers and sisters? Fire didn't do nothing to them. Because they had absolute trust in Yahuah's Torah. Because that's why they wouldn't do it. They said, no, our Torah said we don't eat, unclean foods. Goes back to the flesh-eating bacteria I was talking to you about in the beginning of this message. And that bacteria is tied into seafood. Things that don't have scales, that we're not supposed to eat. We talked about it last night, or in the Tanakh study, reminding our people who these people are, talking about your enemies, inside Israel and outside of Israel, and how the strength of our people. What did David say? David said, he said, this Torah, brothers and sisters, this Torah, he said, this Torah is more valuable to him than all the silver and the gold. You can read that in Psalm chapter 119, verse 72. So for all you Israelites who say, I trust David, David is going to be our king, David this and King David that, when in the new world to come, is David, is David, is David, then why don't you act like David then? Stop claiming David as your king if you're going to do what, if you're going to walk contrary to how David walked. King David followed the Torah. King David was not an idolater. King David wasn't afraid of anybody. He wasn't afraid of Saul. He wasn't afraid of the Philistine kings. He wasn't afraid of anyone. David trusted in Yahuah completely. He taught his son Solomon to be the same way. This is why we know that scripture, trust in Yahuah with all your heart. Lean not to your own understandings. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your path. That's Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 7. Solomon learned that from his dad. He also learned it from his mother, Bathsheba. Proverbs chapter 1 tells you that. The Torah of my mother. So daughters of Zion, you're equally accountable for walking in this Torah, and you're equally accountable for pulling out of this heathen system of things. So they're eating those abominable foods, and these abominable foods are killing them, just as the book said it was. That's why he told us don't eat unclean things. You can read about that in Leviticus chapter 11, inside of our Torah, as Yahuah told Moses, and Moses told us. As Yahuah is telling me now, as I'm telling you. But as long as you listen to wicked Israelites among us, Israelites who are portraying us for things like that, that just passed behind me, you see them running and gunning, while you out there working this morning, that's what they're doing. You say, well, what you doing, Elder? Well, first of all, I've been in corporate America for 40 plus years, and I did my time. But I'm still working. That's why you see me. You remember Enoch retired at 65, and then he picked up the mantle at 66. And God told him, you go out there and you teach some more, Enoch. Don't you stop teaching till I tell you you're done, Enoch. So just like he spoke to Enoch, told Enoch, now you ain't stopping, told me the same thing. He said, I'm just going to change the work. I'm going to give you more important work to do. And I'll make sure you get supported. Just like they said, Enoch, we're going to make you our king, keep you financially okay. They didn't try to make him a multi-millionaire. They said, but we're going to make sure he has enough to take care of himself and those that he's responsible for. As many of you are doing when you help me with Yahuah's work. That's the way I see it. That's exactly the way I see it. And so I'm here. But they're running up and down the pathway. It's what right now, it's 8:30 in the morning. They got time, young and old. You see them chilling. If you saw this community I drove through, brothers and sisters, to get here, it would make you want to throw up in your own mouth how these people are living so high up, while many of our people are relegated to inner city ghettos where, they're familiar with the rats and roaches. They named them like pets. Watered lawn. I want y'all to watch what's going to come by me in just a moment. You daughters of Zion. If you think it's not okay to stand with your men and respect your men so that they can feel confident that you truly want them to be there, then you will never experience what these heathens are experiencing. Watch. See them? I know you can't see the little baby heathens, but you see the tall, you see the other ones pushing carriages. Out here in the cool. Walking in the shade. Where you were. Sitting at home, hoping and praying that heathen Jesus is going to find a way for you. He's not. Jesus ain't coming. Yahuah, Yahushua, he ain't coming. He works for them. He works for the other team. You haven't figured that out yet, brothers and sisters? But again, paying into a system that does not represent you is foolish. So again, if you can't pay for it outright, then you need to just say, you know what? I'll be all right. I'm not talking about, your rent, basic things like that, your light bill, phone bill. You don't have to pay that. Because them heathen wicked devil will quickly turn that off. But I'm talking about going out there and buying homes and going out there, through mortgages and using mortgages to buy, automobiles, and other things, using credit cards to go and buy things that's got interest on it at 20, 30, 40% and even higher. Because you trust these heathen systems and you want to be like them and feel good about yourself. Brothers and sisters, there's nothing on this earth that's going to make you feel better about yourself. Take it from a man who's had many things. And I can assure you, the one thing it did not do make me feel better about myself. It just made me feel so overwhelmed, brothers and sisters, that I started to hate myself. Because I was spending more time figuring out how to keep it. Because there was no joy attached to it. Because it came through the heathen system. It didn't come from the blessings of Yahuah that make it a man rich and add no sorrow with it. They want us to trust in that system. And they got these heathens among us, Israel heathens, who are gladly to go out and promote it because if they're incentivized to do it. Some of them are well-known people, your entertainers. And some of them are not so well-known. Your cousin, your uncle, your mama, your pastor, your sister, your brother. Those who lust after the things of these heathens. But they hate the word of Yahuah. They'll run to a concert or they'll run to a festival. But you say, come and learn the ways of Yahuah. Oh no, I don't believe in all that stuff. Wicked. Straight up wickedness. Rebellion at the highest level. Profanity, perversion. And they thinking somehow or another that their situation is going to change because they go in some church and let some heathen stand on a Baal altar talking about just trust in Jesus. Jesus is the way. To hell, he is. Trust the system. You got to trust the system. The system of what? Fraud, exploitation, humiliation, that cause you to feel less than? No, brothers and sisters. Yahuah is telling us to come out. Hagar warned us again. He said, when you start trusting these heathens, he said, it's the equivalent of putting money in bags with holes in it. He said, why you want to finance the things that they tell you that you need for quality of life, but you reject me, who gave you life? Go read it, Haggai chapter 1. That's what he's talking about. He said, you care about building your houses and their houses, but you don't care about my house. And he says, since you don't care about me, guess what? When you pray, I'm not going to hear your prayers because I don't care about you. Oh, Elder, how could you say that? Well, you might want to go read Proverbs 28 and 9. It says clearly, those who reject Yahuah's Torah, their prayers are an abomination unto him. I just read to you, wicked Israelites told us to make covenant with heathens. Wicked Israelites told us to make covenant with heathens. So when you give them your hard-earned tax dollars or you go buy into their system of exploitation, then that's exactly what you're doing. You're financing your enslaver to keep you under his thumb. Yeah, he'll single out one little, pretending successful one here or a little successful. You remember the whole thing with, how many of you remember? Let's stop for just a second. All y'all know about P. Diddy, Sean Combs. Remember this? Remember about 10, 12 years ago, he was promoting Ciroc, and they were talking about how successful Sean Combs was, and talking about P. Diddy, and he was an entrepreneur, he's a billionaire, he's, look at him, he's a role model, he's going to start Revolt TV. Y'all remember all of that? Y'all remember that? Look up Revolt TV, the history behind it. You'll see his face. And now look at it. Sitting in a jailhouse with an orange suit on for being a pervert. At best, a pervert. Now, if perverts are getting locked up, then every single heathen that got more than, 6 figures in his bank account is a goddamn pervert. Female and male. So the equivalent of what he was doing. But see, they don't tell you that part, or they expect you to forget that. And this is what happens when you buy into their system or you let these people lead you astray by showing you one or two nigglets who are successful playing the game, as they say, working the system, these financial gurus in Israel who tell you to invest in things, and then but they tell you when you invest in it, but ain't no guarantee now. I can't guarantee you nothing. Well, what do you mean you can't guarantee me? Well, you know it's gambling. But they don't use the word gambling. It's a Ponzi scheme, but they don't tell you it's a Ponzi scheme. They don't tell you that they getting money off of you investing in this foolishness. Commission. So when you see in Maccabees when it's talking about wicked Israelites came from among us and went and told our people, oh no, trust the heathen, trust their system. It'll pay off in the long term. I'm telling you that these are the demons that I'm about to read about, because this is what they're setting you up for. Now, I hope I said enough, at least for the title of this video. What am I saying again? Taxation without representation is exploitation, is financial raping of a people. And so if they're going to get rid of DEI and SNAP and the Board of Education and all these other housing and Medicaid and Medicare, the Center for Disease Control that will at least keep an eye on what diseases are impacting our people, like gonorrhea, syphilis, STDs, HIV, AIDS, and every other kind of disease out there that's hidden that you don't know that's coming or may already be here. When they get rid of those programs, then you got to ask yourself the question, why are you paying into that system? When you keep using that same money within the righteous remnant. I'm not talking about you're going to get this stuff to a wicked Israel. It's equivalent, Israelite. That shit is the equivalent of putting it in money in bags. So you need to go back and see, okay, what are their history? What are they about? When did they show up? And what do they talk about? Do they sit there and talk 30, 40 minutes about finance with charts and graphs and demographics and geographics, statistics and data? Or do they open up this book and show you Yahuah's way? Because that's how you're going to know the difference. David said, the blessings of Yahuah again, make a man, Solomon, make a man rich and add no sorrow with it. David said he was young once, and he is old. He's never seen the righteous forsaken, and their children going hungry. All through this book, it talks about the blessings of Yahuah, when we do what is right, when we hold our ground, when we don't, surrender to the heathen system of things. When Daniel and the Hebrew boys, as we know them, were protected from the executioner, Yahuah promoted them. Same thing with Mordecai. People know the story of Esther, but they don't talk about Mordecai, do they, brothers and sisters? It was Mordecai who told Esther she needed to go talk to the king about what was going on with his wicked counsel, as they had targeted Israel again. Haman, who built the hangman's noose. Remember that? The guillotine, sort of. Ultimately, y'all hung his wicked ass on that. But guess what? Later in that story, read the editions of Esther. It's in the Apocrypha. And you'll see that Esther went back to the king. They opened up the king's book and saw that Mordecai had saved the king from espionage inside of his camp, traitors. And Haman was one of them. And it was Mordecai who called it out. And because Mordecai called it out, because Mordecai took a stand for Yashar'el, guess what? When the king saw that, not only did he end the pressure of the death sentence and the decree that was there to destroy all people, thank you, Mordecai, Mordecai got promoted. He got rewarded for taking that stand. This is how Yahuah treats us, brothers and sisters. If we're willing to trust in him with all our heart and lean not to our own understandings, then you will see, his rewards. Not only in the world to come, because that's guaranteed for the righteous remnant, but right here, right now. What did David say in the 23rd Psalms? Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all of my life, and I will dwell, in the house of Yahuah forever. David said right here and later on. But where was David? The book said David was a man after Yahuah's heart. David was the one who said again, that Torah is worth all the silver and gold. Why you think I'm pushing so hard to you, my brothers and sisters, to come back to the Torah, come back to Yahuah's way, reject their system? It's all going to be burned down anyway. We studied that last night in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. If you're with us, and I have your email, you even got the precepts to go along with it. See, our Tanakh studies are not like any study you've probably ever been with, brothers and sisters. It's different. We talk about what's going on now, and we attach it to what has happened in the past, along with what's coming in the future. So that we're fully informed, well equipped, girded, and ready for battle. And it's all led through Yahuah's Spirit. And it's book open. It's an open test, so to speak. You can't fail. Because we can't fail serving Yahuah, brothers and sisters. But if we keep letting these people, again, take advantage of us, exploit us, we're going to end up back on a damn plantation in some kind of debt peonage. I don't know if you know what debt peonage is. I'll tell you what debt peonage is. You're going to be the equivalent of a convict. They're going to have you out here working in their fields. That's why they're getting all the migrants out of here, because you're going to be the new migrant. Talking about Israel. They know nobody can chop some cotton better than us and pick some cotton and stand in that sun all day long. They sure can't stand in the sun. Who you think they're going to get to do that labor? Tobacco, cotton, corn, vegetation. I mean, these little, Mexican things, little wetbacks, they know they're adequate, but they can't outwork Israel. And these people know that if that was the case, they would have enslaved the Mexicans. You notice they didn't. They knew who was equipped. We're the strongest, the best, the wisest, the more innovative, the most fertile. They know that melanin, even when we die, we work more. Hell, most of us are work more dead than alive because of the melanin in our internal organs. That is the image and the likeness of the Creator. He made us this way. That's why he said we were the apple of his eye. And what did he say in the book of Joel? He said, "You are my treasure." So you stole my silver, you stole my gold, is what he said to the heathen. Read Joel chapter 3. He identified all 12 tribes. But he also said, see that Judah? So I'm going to set them a little bit above their brethren because I want them to fight, teach, farm, and educate. That's what I'm doing. And ultimately, he said the northern kingdom will wake up and join in. So wherever you are on this flat earth, it doesn't matter what kingdom you're from, Gad, Naphtali, Reuben, Simeon, Issachar, Dan, Asher. It doesn't matter. You're still us. And the awakening is happening for you just as it is for us. So no matter where you are on this flat earth, you should be listening and sharing these videos. You should be participating in this work, investing in this work. Because this work, the book said that it will bear fruit for you. 700-fold in some cases. And it assures you that if you ever have a need, Yahuah will say, I'm going to be there for you. That's why he was there for the Hebrew boys, and because they were taking a stand for Yah's Torah. So he wasn't going to let any weapon formed against them prosper. Same thing with Abraham. When Nimrod threw him and his brother in the fire. Yah was there. Same thing with Daniel when King Darius threw him in the lion's den. The same thing with our people when Egypt was trying to trap us because we were blocked by the sea on one side and by a 2 million man army behind us. And Yah did what? He opened up that sea, 12 parted it 12 ways, and we went right on through. And when the enemy came in, that water like a flood drowned them. Why? Because we were faithful. That rod is the equivalent of Yah's Torah. He told Moses, what do you have in your hands? Because Moses was like, yeah, what am I going to do? We trapped. You will say, no, you're not. What you got in your hands, Moses? Use what you have in your hand. Saying he's telling us, brothers and sisters, do not look at your situation as hopeless. Say, no, whatever little I got, I'm going to do something with it. But I'm going to put it, in good soil. And if I have abundance, you better believe I'm going to put that in, because I'm going to put that in the richest soil. So as that stuff is getting written down by me, say, okay, this is what I did. Brother Piani did this, Sister Jackson did that, Brother Cameron did that, Brother Keith did, you know what I'm saying? On and on and on. What you don't want them to say is you did nothing. I ain't had nothing. Well, yes, you do have something. Look around. Because these financial rapists, they looking at you. If they give you a penny, they want $1 in return. You can believe that. But now they decided, well, we don't want to give you nothing anymore. We want to keep taxing you, though. Keep paying your taxes. But we don't give you nothing. We want you to go back out in them fields and chop that cotton, pick that corn, milk that cow. And then when you're done, get into bed because I want to do my business on you. And y'all know what that means. Sold a boy for a whore and a girl for a bottle of wine. Moonshine. Thought you were worth a gallon of moonshine. They got drunk and then threw you in the bed too, sister. Some of our sisters still laying there with them drunkards. And some of our brothers still laying down. Let's just call it, I don't even want to go into to that part of it, but they're homosexuals popping out of Israel men like shit going through a goose. Down low, bisexual, transsexual, metrosexual. It's hard to find a heterosexual man. So to my brothers who are heterosexual, hardcore, Sharif, Dennis, Cameron, Lamar, Keith, Jimmy, Robert, Elmer, Van, Caitlin, Shaquille, Willoughby, Brother Willoughby. There's a lot of them. I can go on and on with them names. Stay strong. Yahuah needs you. Now, I'll be right there with you. I'm going to be like David. I ain't going to be sitting in the high chair. I'm going to be right down there on that ground on that battlefield. Like I am. Unafraid. All alone. Ain't nobody over here with me. The heathen's walking behind me. Y'all keep your eye behind my back now. If niggas sneak up on me, y'all tell me. Okay? Y'all know y'all do right. Y'all do. Nah, I don't want to get into, y'all know Elder is armed to the teeth. And I ain't talking about these either. Shit, you let them come over here. They're going to be in them bushes. I'm going to run their ass all through them weeds. Them trees. Them and their dogs. Their family. But I want to take us back to the book of Maccabees, as I started earlier, brothers and sisters. Wicked Israelite among us that told our people that the heathen system was a better way. Let's go back to that, okay? Maccabees. Same chapter, chapter 1. I left off reading at verse, 15? I'm going to pick up at verse, how about this, 24, okay? Because the rest of it is just information, so I'm not skipping anything intentional here. It's just, it's not relevant to the message. Pick up at verse 24. Same chapter. 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 24. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was a great mourning in Yashar'el in every place. A great mourning in Yashar'el in every place. So that the princes and the elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble. We talked about that last night. Y'all said he's going to make them heathens feeble, though. Said we were made feeble, but Jeremiah said the day going to come when their asses are going to be feeble-handed. The men were made feeble, and the beauty of the women were changed. This is what Isaiah chapter 3 is talking about. It's going to happen again when he says, hair going to fall out the daughters of Zion's head. Instead of being a sweet smell, a natural sweet smell, they're going to stink. They're going to wear rags for clothing. They're going to be homeless. They're going to be ravaged, abused, sexually abused, physically abused, and worse. They become medical experiments again. Hallelujah. But let's go on, he says. And every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber, hallelujah, was in heaviness, sadness. And the land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof. And all the houses of Jacob were covered with confusion. Why? Because they listened to those wicked Israelites who told them to go back and let the king and trust in the king's system of things. And look at us now, brothers. If there's never been a people more confused than our people. Our people are running all over the place, looking for answers when the answer is right in front of them in the Torah. But they let wicked Israelites among us tell, it's done away with, nobody can keep it, or you can keep certain parts of it. Jesus is in the Torah. That's a goddamn lie. There's no Jesus in this Torah. They're insinuating that. They're conflating that. They're taking, misinformation and planted, tares or weeds with the tares. Which is what Maccabees 3, first Maccabees 3:48 said the heathens would do. Pollute the Torah with misinformation and then hire wicked Israelites to tell you, it's here. It's Isaiah 53:7. It's Isaiah 96. And they go on and on. It's Joshua chapter 46. You don't know what you're talking about. Or they don't know what they're talking about, better said. Or they do know what they're talking about. They're intentionally deceiving many in Israel. But let's continue on. Verse 28, and the land also was moved by the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude. Look at this, brothers and sisters. Let me read this to you again. After 2 years expired, first everything looked good. Everything seemed that was, pro them. They bought into the heathen system of things, and then 2 years later, these heathens showed their true colors. This is why Sirach says, never trust your enemies. See, for 2 years, everything looked good. Then slowly, a slow drop at a time, the whole thing, the wolf came out of them. Their true intentions were revealed. And when their true intentions are revealed, brothers and sisters, they get right down hateful. They don't like to be uncovered. But we're going to uncover them. But look what it says. After 2 years fully expired, the king sent the chief tax collector unto the cities. I say it again, brothers. They're exploiting our people. Say, we're going to give you all these things, get you hooked on these things, and then we're going to take these things back and force you back out into these damn, labor camps. Because they ain't going to be in the labor camp. People look like this. That's what's going to be in the labor camp. And they know it. They ain't worrying about shit. They're chilling. Go on and get their latte. But he sent the tax collectors unto the cities of Judah, who came into Jerusalem with a great multitude. This are all those IRS agents. They hired 80,000 plus. Remember, brothers and sisters? By the way, enforcement, customs, what do they call them? ICE? Enforcer? Yeah. Immigration, custom enforcement. They're recruiting heathens to join up with them. They're going to make that army bigger. We already know they invested $150 billion of your tax money that you pay in taxes. Every tax that you pay voluntarily, that's what you're doing. Financing your own oppression. As they snatch your sons and daughters, off these streets for crimes they didn't commit. If you were with us last night in the precepts, I showed you a situation where this wicked female heathen, non-melanated Edomite was planting evidence on this gentleman of color. Looked like he was an Israelite. And lied. Turned the cameras off. She lied. And said, oh no, the bottle was open, but the bottle was closed. On her camera, she pointed out. Then they put her in the court. A week later, they love to lie. A year later, I don't remember. A year later, I don't remember none of that. You're a police officer with a feeble mind? Look, I know about policing. One of the qualifications to be a police officer, you have to pass what they call cognitive test. In other words, they'll give you numbers. They'll say numbers, and you got to hear those numbers, and you got to write those numbers down to see if you're able to retain information quickly. But all of a sudden, she conveniently forgot everything. But they had the evidence, but she kept on lying. Maybe I'll put that link in this video, just to show you, brothers and sisters. I shouldn't have to, because I don't know what. Hey, remember Fannie Mae? It was a nigger. It was a nigger. Although she was whoring on her husband. Talking about Rosewood. True story. So you paying for the police, while the police, are planting evidence on you and your sons and your daughters and hauling you off to jail for things you didn't commit. Ultimately, you're going to be on one of those labor camps. So they're hiring all their ICE agents now, extra agents. And what do you think they're going to be doing? You think they're just going to look, for people who came here through the immigration process when they actually let them in here for the last 4 years? They opened the gates and welcomed them here. And now all of a sudden they're criminals? It's just a big plot. What did David say in Psalms 83? They're conspiring against you to eliminate you, Yashar'el. They don't give a damn about the immigrants unless they're melanated. Most of these immigrants that they're running out here, those are Israelites. They may be from the other tribes, northern tribes, some of us southern tribes. But you think you're safe because you were born here. Watch. Because there are laws in the Constitution, brothers, in the Bill of Rights, sisters, that says that you are a slave if you commit a crime. You better go back and reread the 13th Amendment. This is exactly why we teach, inform, and educate here. This is why this channel is like no other channel. So if you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe. And there are over 1,000 videos. My journey from a heathen, soul-stealing believer to the revelation that Yahuah had called me for a greater purpose. The journey is there. And many of you are part of that journey, had similar parts. Your journey is similar. So if you're sitting over there thinking, oh, this is about migrants, well, guess what? These prisons are populated with men and women that look like us in America. Remember, 1 out of 4 prisons on this earth is in the United States. So you don't think that these same prisons that are occupying these prisons and penitentiaries today are not going to be in some of them labor camps? Then maybe you need to go look at a documentary. Look up the documentaries about Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola. Angola, like Africa, Angola. They actually named a prison in Louisiana after the country of Angola and filled it up with our people. And guess what they're doing on that plantation? Slaughtering hogs, cows, picking cotton, chopping cotton, corn, cabbage. Got heathens riding on horses with shotguns like overseers. And got men marching up and down the road from sun come up to sun go down with hoes on their back. Not female whores, a male whores, the gardening tool on their shoulders. And some of these men are in there for life. I think it was something like 40-50% of the men are in there for all their life. Been in jail since they were 16, 17 years old and gonna die there. And you tell me that's not slavery by another name? I wonder how many of them are in there innocently. I wonder how many of them in there because of the 3-strike, laws that were passed by the Biden and Clinton administration. Biden as senator, Bill Clinton as president. 3-strike rule, the Biden laws. For all you Democrats who think that somehow or another, Trump is the worst thing that ever walked this earth. No, he's not. He's one of the worst things that ever walked this earth. There are many of them. Soulless demons. Some have power, some don't. But that's a difference without a distinction. They're still heathen, and they think like heathens. And when shit hits the fan, they gonna join up together while we over here, in confusion, figuring, well, I don't know who to trust, so I ain't gonna do nothing. Well, that's you. That's your fault. Because we're right here teaching consistently to help you make educated decisions. Teach, inform, educate. Hashtag T.I.E. With the book open. So just like our prophets gave the word of Yahuah, and you don't question those prophets, this prophet is giving you the word of Yahuah as those prophets did. So just as you trusted them, you can trust this prophet, because I'm going to give you the word. Now, if you have some kind of insecurity demon inside you, you're going to have to deal with that. You deal with that. Don't project that here. He said, I'm going to get, again, raise up men like unto yourselves with your same issue, same journey, same challenges. But they're going to serve me. And they're going to stop serving themselves, and they're going to turn to me. They're human, though. So they're going to get mad, and they're going to want to kick some ass. They're going to want to do everything. They're going to have their feet going to hurt, and their back going to hurt, and, you know. I'll just leave it right there. Everything going to be the same. But the difference is they're no longer following heathens. They're no longer a part of a lying, corrupt system of taxation without representation. And they love Israel. They love the people. Yahuah would have never picked me if I didn't. He wouldn't have picked any of them. They all loved the people. People didn't love them. Many didn't anyway. Some did. Hallelujah. What I mean by love, I'm talking about respect them, honor them, supported them, did whatever they needed to do because they knew they needed them. So when David left, many men went with David when David left from under Saul. When Abraham left, many men went with Abraham. The wise among us, they know that books say iron sharpens iron. Like a brother sharpens the countenance of his friend. Proverbs 27:17. How can two walk together except there being an agreement? Right? Twofold cord is not easily broken. That's Ecclesiastes. In other words, Yah's with us, no weapon formed against us will prosper. Same thing with our daughters. Same thing with you, sisters. We're going to be a community people, again. And those who can't or don't want to be a part of a community, then you're not going into the next life. Not with us. You're going to be left, you're going to be burned in with the rest of us, because we're going to live as a commune. Yahuah, go back and read Isaiah chapter 14. It says it. Isaiah chapter 60 talks about it. Isaiah 66 talks about it. So if you got a problem living amongst your own kind, then you got a problem with hellfire coming your way. He said, no stranger will ever walk through our land again. No stranger, including so-called righteous ones, unless they're enslaved to us, maid servant, man servants, and they're going to do what they're told, or else. Or they're going to be thrown into that fire with the rest of their kind. Because they don't like this kind of talk, brothers and sisters. Talking about the heathens. Even the Israelite heathens, they don't like this kind of talk. But they don't like to see courageous and strong men. They can't stand it. They see it as a threat because it interferes with their ideology or their theology. Or their self-centeredness, that Jezebel spirit. You know, we talked about that already. We'll talk about it more. They rather conflate their hatred upon on the leadership, their insecurities on the leadership, as though somehow the leadership had something to do with what happened to them when they were a little boy or a little girl. That's your mom and daddy. Don't confuse me with them. I'm not them. Your uncles and your uncles, you know, the sex of, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm going to leave that there. But let's go back here, picking up verse 29. So they forced the people to pay taxes. And they sent out their ICE agents, IRS agents, to ensure. And look what happened, verse 30. And they spoke peaceable words unto them. Words, what David said, their words were smooth as butter. Psalm 55:21. Said their words were smooth as butter. But what he said, they had war in their heart. He said their words were soft as all. But they had what? Swords in their hands. Beware of the soft-spoken heathens. You know, the ones who always want to tell you, you know, something good about your kind. But he won't say it, or she won't say it in front of her kind. Or the wicked Israelite among you who can't never say nigger this and nigger that. All they got something to do is all they want to do is tear us down if we don't go along with the system. Religion, I'm talking about. That system, that profanity, perversion. Try to keep us in a state of confusion. Can't keep the Torah, but you got to keep the Torah. Can't keep the Torah, but you got to try to keep it. Just silliness. Just, ooh. Okay, let's go. I want to take this pen and just start jabbing right in the side of the head. See if I can write some sense in there. So I can open up a hole and then write in there. It's the Torah, dumbass. That's what your Savior, salvation, and your redemption is. It's an instruction book of life for you. But their head, the book says so hardy-minded, and high-minded, she ain't going to listen. You grab one of these bricks over there and cunk in that nappy head. The brick going to bounce off. Because she ain't going to listen. But the righteous remnant, you're going to listen. Hallelujah. So this is for you. They're being warned. You're being informed. Hallelujah. Verse 30. Again, they spoke peaceable words unto them. But all was deceit. And when they had given them credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore and destroyed many people of Yashar'el. So since we said we're not going to no longer let you exploit us, they're going to start arresting us and doing all kind of wickedness and planning evil liars among us, contact tracers, them devils. They're still out there who going to go and lie on behalf of the heathens to get you entrapped in folly, accuse you of things you never did. The wicked is extreme. The wicked is separated from their mother's vaginas and they go about lying. Is that not what David told us in Psalm 58 and 3? So they are natural born liars. Jeremiah 50 talks about it too. The heathen liars. Busybodies. But we're here to set the record straight, aren't we? We're going to teach, inform, and educate here. We're going to come to righteous remnant. We're going to come together from the four corners of this earth. Northern kingdom, southern kingdom, we're going to come back together. Not everybody. The elect, the select. Those who are committed to this truth. Those who are committed to Yah's Torah. Those who are committed to, you know what I'm saying, to the purpose, to the mission, to Yahuah's work. But he said they're going to come and they're going to try to wipe us out, destroy us. Just like David said. And this is long after David. This is Maccabees. This is way after David's time. Maccabees was probably within the last couple of millennia, maybe 2,000 years ago, give or take, depending on who you believe. Maybe less than that. This was way after David, King David. But these people were still standing on the same thing King David stood on. This would have been the time they were creating their Christ, or recreating their Christ, their Savior, their Redeemer. This is about that same time. Running a scam on the people again. Talking about the king religion. It's in here. I'll get to it. Y'all willing? So they spoke, verse 30, they spoke peaceable words unto them. Is it not what Sirach said? They're going to come with all these soft words. They're going to come and charm you. Say everything that you want to hear, sister. Get you to let your guards down. Tell you about how great you are, how wonderful you are, none like you. Anything to seduce you, to keep you, passive, keep you content. I mean, you should be getting stirred up. They're exaggerating you, calming you, keeping you calmed down. When you should be out here fighting, you know, you over there, you know what I'm saying? Housekeeping. I mean, you should be preparing for war. You're sitting there waiting for, you know, a miracle to happen. That's never going to happen. Again, what did Yahuah tell Moses? What do you have in your hands, Moses? Use it. Do something. The one thing he never told us to do is sit around and do nothing. And when you sit around just praying and singing, and that's all you doing, and you don't get up and swing and kick and claw and scratch when your people are being exploited and taken advantage of, then you're not worthy to be called an Israelite. You might be an Israelite in physicality, but you're not one in the heart. This book reminds us all the time, 1, 2 of like. 1 will put 1,000, 2, 10,000. These people among us, some of these complacent ones, but they love to quote Psalms 91 and other songs. They're always talking about the goodness of Yahuah. But when you look and see what they're actually doing for the cause, doing the work that he says we're supposed to be doing as these days start to wind down, they're nowhere to be found. They're hiding away, pining away. Men and women. The heathens are getting enraged, and you're sitting there, you know, preoccupied with pots and pans. Or you out there, brother, slaving like a damn Hebrew slave, thinking that somehow or another you're going to get a get up or a come up. It ain't going to happen. You want to see Yahuah's blessing, you got to come to Yahuah and do the work of Yahuah. Then he'll bless whatever you're doing. Otherwise, you putting money in bags with holes in it. Taxation without representation. The heathen will tell you that that don't work. America didn't become great because they paid taxes to heathens. They refused to pay taxes to the people who didn't represent them. Even them white trash devils knew that. But I guess the black trash, I guess you're just gonna be, you know, you're just gonna become garbage. I guess you're going to the landfill then. You just can't get it in that thick woolly skull of yours that these demons are not your friends. Book says Esau is our mortal enemy, our perpetual enemy. Look how he's going to behave to our people who trusted them. Because the good nigga says so. Negro, whatever makes you feel better about yourself, black people, African, whatever you want to call yourself. Shouldn't be calling yourself no Israelite, because you don't have the heart of one. But you might be one anyway, so I can't change that. The Ethiopian can't change his spot, his skin and leopard his spot. So I can't change what your bloodline is, but I can reassure you, if you ain't walking with the righteous remnant, then you ain't going to get the rewards of the righteous remnant. Verse 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, taxation without representation, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and the walls thereof on every side. In other words, they attacked us, just like they did, Rosewood, like they did Greenwood, Elaine, Illinois, New Orleans, Louisiana, Chicago. Over 1,000 race riots where these heathens went in there and tore and stole everything, stole our homes, stole furniture, and murdered us mercilessly out of jealousy and evil and hatred. Esau has a perpetual hatred. And yet you got Israelites, just like some of these were, saying, no, they're not all of them. Well, prove to us the ones who not. And we ain't talking about the one that you'd have laid down and open your legs for and let him squeeze this little nasty juice in. Show us the one that you are not catering to him. That's a good one. Show us him or her. Otherwise, we don't want to hear it. Verse 32, with the women and the children, they took captive and possessed the cattle. Or they re-enslaved our people. Put them back in their prison. Put them back in their FEMA camps. It's coming again, brothers and sisters. History repeating itself. What did Solomon say? There's nothing new under the sun. Isn't that Ecclesiastes? I think that's 1 and 8, 1 and 9. Hallelujah. Something is biting me. So I'm not, but it's not, I'm just scratching, but I'm still here. But the women and children, they took captive and possessed the cattle. So the daughters of Zion, I'm saying, if you think that they're going to spare you because you so pretty or you so fine or you so nice, you so sweet, you ain't like the rest of them, you're out of your mind. As a matter of fact, you're going to be the ones they're going to target because you so fine, you so pretty, you so kind, you so sweet. You're the very ones they're going to throw inside their, little caves and sexually abuse and molest. You see with Trump and Epstein, you see these devils, they finding out these damn was a bunch of sexual perverts. Even their women defend them. Oh, it's just locker room talk. Because that's their sons. They're just like them. They raised them to be that way. They raised their sons to hate you. Why, you can't go around their families, most of you. They don't take you home to mama, or when they do take you around their mammy ask you, that child is, I don't think that's his child. Why that baby don't look like you? And you sitting there looking all silly, feelings hurt. Because they think you're a harlot. They think you unfit for their children. But you just gotta press forward. I gotta press on. Right to hell you will go, right along with him or her. Verse 33, and they built the city of David with a great and strong wall and with a mighty tower, and they made a stronghold for them. And then they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. Took our land, stole our children, stole our culture, removed our Torah, gave us their gods, including their Yahuah, tried to eliminate our book altogether and promoted their book, the New Testament, or the Quran, or whatever book they're out there promoting, celebrating their gods at our expense. Because they knew, as Jeremiah said, if they could turn us away from Yahuah, then they could do whatever they wanted to do to us because Yahuah wouldn't protect us. And now we're turning back to Yahuah, and he is going to protect us. At least the righteous remnant, that's a very small righteous remnant. He said the rest of this place is going to be like Sodom and Gomorrah. We studied it again last night. Look at verse 35. And they stored also the armor and the victuals. That's what Monsanto is doing. Monsanto, you know, the ones who stole all the seeds. They stored up, they got seed. Like Gates bought up all that land in Louisiana, farmlands. Brothers and sisters, when they come from under the ground, because they're hiding down there, because they know something is coming above ground, so they're going down there to hide until it passes. And then they're going to come back and all that land he bought, all those seeds that Monsanto is holding on to, they're going to take and treat and resoil the earth for the, you know, what they said, 500 million plus slaves. All these people coming up missing. Where you think they are? Some are dead, but some of them being trained to be slaves. And I'm talking about chattel slavery. I'm talking about brutality worse than any kind of slavery you can think of. They're not talking about that. That's why they want that Epstein stuff to go away. They want all this stuff to go away. Let's make Diddy the problem. Just say Diddy. It's Diddy, 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 Diddy. Not Trump. No, no, no. We don't want to talk about that. Ah, no, 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 no. Distraction. Well, you ain't going to fool me. You're not going to fool us. We see you. So they stored it also, the armor, the weapons, the food. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, stole the stuff, laid it up for them there, they also became a sore snare. What is a sore snare? They became violent towards us. And they're coming, brothers and sisters. They're coming. And things get hard for them, it's going to get worse for us. I'm talking about those of you who are still in their system, those of you who are still outside the camp. Verse 36, and it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Yashar'el. There's no confusion here. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary, and they defiled it. How did they defile it? Abomination of desolation that Daniel talks about. Put their gods, put their churches in our communities everywhere. Got our people worshiping their gods now. Church on every corner. That's how they defiled the sanctuary. Turned us away from the Torah to the New Testament. That's how they defiled it. That's the abomination of desolation that Daniel was talking about. He said that day would come, that Israel would no longer know Yahuah. They would think they have another Savior, another Redeemer. Black one, white one, brown one, it doesn't matter. He's still the same homosexual devil. Transgender, folly, foolishness. A demon. A familiar spirit. Necromancing off the chart is what Yashar'el, many in Yashar'el is doing. Deuteronomy 18, verse 10 said we should not be necromancing, praying to dead gods that came back. Demons, humans supposed, that come back from the earth. Ecclesiastes tells us that a living dog is better than a dead lion. Why? Because the dead knew nothing and they have no more reward. Meaning they're not coming back. There's no such thing as no goddamn reincarnation. You're coming back in the next life, not in this one. But you'll spend eternity one place or the other. In fire, bliss, or enslaved. Fire, in bliss means blessings beyond you can understand, are slaves. And I'm not talking about Israel slaves. Ain't no Israelite here, you're going to be blessed. The slaves going to be the heathens who enslaved you, us, our ancestors. And those of our brothers and sisters who are in these penitentiaries to this very day. Those slaves. Again, 13th Amendment says it clear. You're free except in the committers of a crime, and they came up with every kind of law they could think of to make sure they criminalize you, including 3 strikes, which I mentioned a moment ago. You could be they got people serving life in prison, brothers and sisters, because they stole a car. Or they were caught shoplifting with merchandise that was over, $250. And that was their 3rd crime. The first one was maybe selling marijuana on the corner. Second one, maybe, assault and battery, in some street fight with some, argument. And then the 3rd one was shoplifting. And now they're in life, because of these laws, spending life in prison. And they have not overturned any of those prisons. But they're talking about letting Ghislaine Maxwell out because she knows all those little dirty secrets that these heathens have been up to. So they're willing to let her out, but they're not going to let all these brothers and sisters out of prison for petty crimes. Crimes, really, poverty crimes. That's what they are. They're poverty crimes. People in poverty are be more prone to commit crime because they're trying to survive. Even our book says if a man is stealing because he needs to feed his family, then that man has a right. He has to pay back what he stole, but he should not be locked up. But of course, because we're not teaching the Torah, so everybody just want to just label him. He must have did something to go to jail. Did he? How do you know? Were you there? You probably on that jury that convicted him because of the color of his skin. Because you want to show these white folks, you can count on me. I'm a good nigga. I'm gonna play the game. Probably said right there on the jury, and that man sitting there saying, I didn't do it. And you say, well, I don't care. The white, the prosecutor said you do it, and you got dreadlocks. You got a tattoo on your breast. You must have did something. It's just sheer folly and foolishness. Wicked Israelites, but that's okay. If you planning to handle your enemy, and that dog gonna bite you. Give it a moment. Hallelujah. Verse 37, and thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary, and they defiled it with their religious and their churches, their synagogues, their mosques, their temple, camps, all of that foolishness. Communities, all of it. If it's pushing New Testament, they are defiling Yashar'el. They're defiling the sanctuary of Yahuah, which it means his people. You and I, if you allow it to happen. So they ain't going to defile us. Them. Them their heat. Them. You know what Emmett Till uncle said when he was talking about them wicked, people who killed his nephew? He said, them their heat over there. Them their heat. Verse 30, so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers and became strange to those who were born in her, just like America is for those of us who are born here. We're not going to notice America, is what it's saying here. They're going to roll back all these so-called Bill of Rights and constitutional laws that were supposed to give us equity or equality. That's why they rolled it back. That's why they eliminated diversity, equity, and inclusion. History repeating itself. Our people are being destroyed for a lack of knowledge because you're listening to fools. Jason Black, the Black Channel, Tariq Nasheed, Phil Scott, and the rest of the diaspora, Umar Johnson. On and on and on. Heathen double agents playing both sides and enriching themselves in the process at the expense of gullible Israelites. So these laws, he said, they're going to change it. And those that were born in her and her own children left her. Verse 39, and her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning. Her Shabbats in reproach, her honor into contempt. Now we're telling you, you don't have to keep the Shabbat. The Shabbat ain't necessary. That's what it means, Shabbat in reproach. Saying this, you don't have to keep it. Or you keep it, but you can travel and you can violate it. Contempt. Contempt against Yahuah. Contempt against yourself. Your honor is in contempt. Because they don't see you as a human being. They see you as a thing. a beast. Verse 40, and as been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Again, Isaiah chapter 3. Read it, brothers and sisters. Start reading at verse 10 and read all the way down to verse 20, 26. And then read verse 27. Isaiah chapter 3, verse 27. Read that too. And I know what some of y'all are going to say. Well, elder, there is no chapter, there is no verse 27 in chapter 3. I know. I was talking about, really, trying to get you to read chapter 4, verse 1. Because that's all it is. That's just verse 27. It just separated by a number, by a chapter. But it says, and, if you look at verse chapter 4, verse 1, it says, and, which means it's a continuation of verse 26 in chapter 3. So that's what's coming. To the men and to the women. All because of rebellion. All because of rejecting Yahuah's Torah in these last days. Some of us are waking. Most of us stay asleep. Moreover, the king, verse 41. This is why all the mourning is, all the suffering is going to happen. Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that they should all be one people. This is the one world government they're talking about. One world order. The Bushes and all of them been talking about. The World Economic Forum is talking about. The one world currency. That's why they want you investing in that stuff. Cryptos. Trump signed up. Well, you got to get ahead. No, brothers, that's just going to control everything you do. That's what that's all about. You invested in that, you're investing in your own demise. How you think they're going to monitor what you buy, what you can't buy, where you been, where you going, where you not going, what you not going to buy? Why would you invest in that? 15-minute cities. You don't know about that? What that's all about? It's another form of slavery. And you're the target. You think they're going to put their people in 15-minute cities? No, they're going to put Israel in 15-minute cities. So they control everywhere you go or can't go. That's if they left you off the plantation again. The FEMA camps. The migrant camps. So that's what they're going to call you then. And don't tell me they wanted to call the citizens of New Orleans refugees after Katrina, remember? When the people were, in a state of despair because there was no resources for them after that flooding. What they call them? Refugees. Of course, they were Israelites. They used the term refugees. Because that's how they think of you. And many of you, they think that way because you behave that way. You cater to their system. You invest in a system that's there to exploit you. And when the truth comes, you're too afraid to pull out. For fear of what they're going to do. But you trust Yahuah. How does that work? If you claim to trust Yahuah and you refuse to pull out this system, then you're the equivalent of Abraham's brother Haran. You're simply stating that I trust him, but I don't trust him completely. And I've got to go, I got to do what I got to do. And, you guys are telling me to do this, but y'all don't, I'm going to have to live with the consequences. That's exactly what Haran said to Abraham. Go read it in the book of Joshua chapter 13. And what happened? Yah spared Abraham because Abraham said, I'm trusting Yahuah and that Torah. I don't give a shit what they do. Haran said, well, it depends. And guess what? Yahuah called Haran evil for his questioning or his lack of belief or lack of trust in Yahuah. That Yahuah could protect him no matter what the situation was. So he was burned to ashes. Just like many of our brothers are going to be burned to ashes because they're between two opinions, double-minded. But I'm going to hold on to Jesus just in case. I'm going to hold on to the New Testament just in case. Okay, well, you're going to burn right along with the rest of the heathens who practice and live by it. That's the king's religion. Every other religion comes out of that religion. So I don't care if you are Islam. It all started right there in Rome. Nimrod's one world government religion. The Tower of Babel. Same thing. Islam, all of it. Right out of Christianity. Paganism. Verse 42, and everyone should leave his laws. This is what the king said. Everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. And yes, many also of Yashar'el consented to his religion. I'm going to read it to you again. Yes, many in Israel consented to the New Testament religion. The God of the New Testament. Paul, Peter, James, Luke, Matthew, Mark, John, your Yahuah or Yahashua, whatever name you call him, devil, Jesus. See, this is why this channel is a danger to these heathens, brothers and sisters. Because I'm going to bring you right back to the book. Verse 43 says, yes, many also of Yashar'el consented to the king's religion and sacrificed unto idols, and they profaned the Shabbat. Telling you, New Testament says you don't have to keep the Shabbat. That's done away with. And you got many of you out there in Israel telling people because the New Testament is done, because of the New Testament, because of your Jesus, that he did away with the New Testament. You are doing exactly what this book said you would do. You're playing on the other side, professing to be on our side. Whether you do it in ignorance or you're doing it intentionally, there's a difference without distinction. You're going to get the same consequence as they're going to get. Profaning the Shabbat. For the king had sent his book, New Testament, by messengers unto Jerusalem and to the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Whether that be Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Catholicism. These are heathen laws, stranger laws, not Yahuah's, not Israel's. 45, and forbidding ascending smoke offerings and sacrifice, and they drink offerings in the temple. This is that eat my flesh, drink my blood folly. Communion is what they're calling it now. And that they should profane the Shabbat in the feast days and pollute the sanctuary of the holy people. And set up altars, astral poles, and chapels of idols. These is all these, what you call it on top of these steeples on these churches. These flags up on their altars. That's astral poles. Those on top of the church, that's what they call those, we call them steeples, but they really are indicators where Baal Temple is. So that's where the Baal Temple is, right there. You see it. That's where the heathens go to worship every Sunday. You'll see them in there. Joel Osteen followers, Joyce Myers, Paula White, John Hagee, Kenneth Copeland, Rod Parsley, Andrew Womack, Jensen Franklin, Jesse Duplantis. Y'all know the names. And then they have the little minions, Bill Winston's, Eddie Long, well, he dead now. Y'all got that devil. Jakes, Jennings, Dow, Celeste. All of them. All of them playing for the enemy. Under the guise that they're standing for truth. Liars. Just exposed. Strange laws. In the north, for sure, look what verse 47 says. And they set up altars, astral poles, and chapels of idols, and sacrificed swine flesh and unclean beasts. In other words, it's okay to eat anything you want to eat, as long as you pray, Jesus will bless it. That's where that comes from. This is what it's referencing here. There's nothing unclean if you pray over it. Well, if it's not unclean and you pray over it, then why is it causing you flesh-eating bacteria, brothers and sisters? Why does it cause us high blood pressure? Why is it giving us diabetes and heart disease, lung disease, liver disease, cancers? Nothing to see there, right? Most of the illness that we suffer is from the food that we eat. Unclean food, I might add. Let me be clear, because we eat that's what we're eating for the most part, garbage. The pig is a filthy beast. We're not supposed to put that, we're not even supposed to touch it. Yet almost every holiday, Israel got a ham. They got their ribs, got their pork chops, got their ham hocks, their pigtails. Huh? Oh no, honey, just pray over it. This book said we ain't supposed to touch it, let alone put it in our mouths and our bodies. Sirach 38 said that if we eat food from the earth, we're going to be healthy. Jeremiah 30:13 said that, if you keep this Torah, Yah will restore your health. But you ain't going to hear these heathens talking about that on their channels, are you? They're going to know. They're going to tell you just the opposite. You damn sure ain't going to see them talking about it in the churches. You think Yah will reveal this truth to them, brothers and sisters? As hard-hearted as they are to Yahuah, you really think Yahuah is going to open up these hidden things? Did not Amos say, should there be a secret? And Yahuah said, I'm only going to reveal that to my servant, the prophet. So they'll read through this and never stop. They'll never even see it, brothers and sisters. But I see it, and now you see it. Some of y'all saw it before I saw it, or saw it right along with me. But Yahuah says what? You got eyes to see. That's what Isaiah said. You got eyes to see and ears to hear. Jeremiah said, but many of us, what? He said that got eyes to see and they won't see. Ears to hear and they won't see. He said, oh, foolish people. The evidence is right here who these people are and what they're up to. But our people, again, no. I ain't trusting no man. But they trust the insurance man. I ain't trusting no man. But they trust, the medical people. I ain't trusting no man, but they trust the educators. I ain't trusting no man, but they trust this government. I ain't trusting no man, but they trust this system of wickedness because you're still investing in it. And it's all men. Just tell the truth. You disrespect yourself because you disrespect the leadership that Yah put over you. Because you just cannot believe Yahuah can raise up a man from among you, just like you, with your same human inadequacies, and build him up and get him upright so he can come back like Moses did to our people and lead us out of captivity, lead us out of bondage. Moses was an Israelite, was not a heathen. Yah's leadership is Israel, not heathen governments, not heathen men and women. Israel. Hold right here. Let's go over to the book of Deuteronomy. I still think some of you, I don't know if you're struggling or not, but I'm going to follow what Yahuah tells me to follow. So look at Deuteronomy chapter 17. Look at this, brothers. And this is for the righteous remnant. I know the rebellion, the wicked, they're not going to listen. And but I have to warn them, brothers. So y'all got to be patient, okay? We got to warn them. But this is for your strengthening. This is the strengthening of you, the righteous of Yashar'el, okay? So just remember that. We are encouraged, they are warned. We are reminded they are warned. Look at book of Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15 says, you shall not in any wise set a king over you whom you shall in any wise set him king over you who Yahuah shall choose, not men. One from among your brethren shall you set king over you. You shall not set a stranger over you, which is not your brother. So if you got a problem with my leadership, you have a problem with Yahuah. You take that up with him. I'm talking about those of them brothers and sisters who despise the truth. Because the truth doesn't, work for them. Because again, they oh no, who do you think you're? But that's the same thing they said to Moses. Found out the hard way that they picked on the wrong man. Well, Yah speak to me too. He speak to me. I hear Yah be talking to me all day long. Yeah? Did he ever tell you don't listen to his messenger, his prophet? Did he ever tell you that you have a right to determine who his messenger and his prophet is? Did he ever tell you that his prophet, his messenger, was not human? Did he ever tell you that one time? You're conflating his prophet with your Jesus foolishness, walking on water. He said, from your own brother, like unto yourself. But the difference between him and you, he's going to obey Yahuah, and you're going to question him obeying Yahuah. Which means you're going to question Yahuah because you don't agree with who Yahuah chooses. But he said you didn't have a choice. The only choice he gave you was to follow him in righteousness as he follows Yahuah. And if he's going to be corrected, Yahuah said, I'll correct him, not you. When Yahuah corrects a prophet, you saw what he did to Moses. told Moses, you ain't going into the promised land because you didn't do what I told you to do. So only a foolish man would take and exploit the authority that Yahuah has given him over Yahuah's people. Yahuah will hold him extremely accountable for his behavior. All the good he has done, Yahuah will forget about it. He didn't do that to Moses, but he sure didn't let him get the promise. So Yahuah is no respecter of a person there, but who he puts in charge is who he puts in charge. You don't get to vote for me. You stand with me or you don't. But if Yahuah sent me, you better make sure you made the right choice. And I know he has and did. I knew that from when I was a child. Let me learn, go through my own trials and tribulations, so I learned to trust him and not myself. And every now and then when I do start to trust myself, he slapped me right upside the head and said, stop. You know better than that. I said, yes, sir. I repent. Verse 48, back to Maccabees chapter 1, verse 48. The heathens, this is what else happened. And they said that the heathens should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable. Remember we talked about the soul stealers, brothers and sisters? How important your soul was? They're stealers of men. They're human traffickers, and then they're soul traffickers. Let me say it like that. Some people traffic in humans. Other people traffic in stealing souls of Israelites. And you know how you know when an Israelite soul has been stolen? When that Israelite care more about the heathen way of things than their own brethren and sisters. That's when you know. When they love this system of things more than they love Yahuah's Torah. When they love themselves more than they love their own brethren. Their souls have been stolen. And it's only a matter of time that those souls are going to be destroyed. God is patient. He's merciful. This teaching is to help restore the souls of many of us whose souls were stolen. He sent our spiritual Denmark Vincent, our spiritual Gabriel Prosser, our spiritual Moshe. Lead us out. The same spirit in them is in some of us, is what I'm saying. To free the soul of those who are captive through religion, idolatry, paganism, perversion, New Testament ideology, heathen religion, customs, the king stuff. The righteous are bold as a lion. That means you're not afraid to come out. And when you come out, you're going to stay out. But look what he says, verse 48. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanliness and profanity, including covenants with heathens. It's profane. It's an abomination to make covenants with them or to stay in covenant with them. It's an abomination, brothers and sisters. Yahuah said, don't do it, and you did it, and you don't undo it, you're an abomination no matter what you say. It's as much physical as it is spiritual. Some of us come out physically, but you're still in there. Your mind is still there. Your behavior still is there. And y'all say you're just as wicked as being in. You might as well just go back and lay down in the bed with them then. When y'all says come out, he means come out completely. When he say utterly finish it, utterly destroyed, we talked about that last night. Brother Mendez was reading it. He said utterly destroyed. Brother Mendez gave it the devil. He said utterly destroyed means 100% out. No sign of affiliation or association with it anymore. He said utterly come out, utterly destroyed, utterly rejected. That's why we don't deal with no New Testament. We don't deal with no Jesus, Yahuah. We don't deal with none of that. It says profane, it's unclean, it's an abomination. This was taught to us by the heathens. And many of our Israelite brothers and sisters still are walking in the ways of the heathen. Although Yahuah told us the nations around us were what? Sorcerers and divinators. You can read that Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 14. They don't listen, don't hearken, because they're what? Sorcerers are an abominable one. They're divinators, they're wicked, they're evil, they're demons, soulless heathens. Verse 49, to the end that they might forget the Torah and change all the ordinances thereof. This is all these people want to lie and say the Torah is done away with. The book said you would tell that lie. Just because you're deceived doesn't mean we have to be deceived. Just because your soul is still in captivity doesn't mean our soul has to stay or come back to your captivity. No, we're free. Our souls are free. Our soul can follow Yahuah completely now. And Yahweh give us the wisdom. He said, I'm going to set Moses. He said, I'm going to put some over 10, right, brothers and sisters? Some over 50, some over 100, some over 1,000. You know why I'm saying that? Because there's going to be somebody out there going to say, well, what about this and what about that? No, that's why he said, Moses said, if you got any questions about anything in regards to this Torah, you go to Moses, and Moses will tell you what it is you should do or what it is you shouldn't do. Might want to go back and read Exodus chapter 18, homie. Brother. Well, we're smarter than you. You're not as clever as your mama thought you were going to be. But then again, she probably knew you were wicked because she was probably wicked. Same thing applied to the wicked daughters of Zion out there, Israel. With your profanity. Telling us the Torah that we don't keep it. That's another Savior and Redeemer for us. Because you refuse to believe. This book said there is only one. You go to, let me give you this. This is for those brothers and sisters. Let's go over to the book of Exodus, chapter. This is the Torah. This is the law. The Torah that lasts forever. Jubilees 6 and 14 says it. But there's many places. There's no end of Yahuah's Torah. But look what it says over the book of Exodus, brothers and sisters. This is for my brothers and sisters. You know, this is just a little, how you say, padding. I know you already, you know, those of us who are in the truth, you know, you about to say, well, I don't need that, elder, but I'm going to do it for those who may have others, you know, who still want to challenge you, okay? Just so you know, on that New Testament, that the Torah is done away with. Then you tell them to explain this. The book of Exodus, chapter 22, verse 20. It says, he that sacrificed to any Elohim, any means any. Sacrifice means bow down, pray to, worship, acknowledge. Save Yahuah only. He shall be utterly destroyed. So let them serve Yahuah. They're going to be utterly destroyed. Buddha, Krishna, Kali, Yahushua, Jesus, whatever name it is. He said they're going to be utterly destroyed. Just don't be destroyed with them, brothers and sisters. See, this is the importance of doing Yahuah's work so we can know the truth. Verse 49, that the end they might forget the Torah and change the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said, they should die. And so I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, get ready. War is coming. If you're standing on this truth, that's why God said we got to come together. Because they coming. They ain't going to let us exploit them and reveal the truth. These heathens who pretending to be us, you know, over in Israel or wherever they might be, New York, wherever they reside, the Ish people, you think they're going to just sit on the sidelines and let this happen? When that's a multi-billion-dollar industry, church, believing that these people, because they live in the land of Israel, are the Israelites, you think that they're going to just lose all of that money? Come on, man. These people control your government. These people control your military. These people control your media. They're going to fight to keep it. They're going to kill to keep it. Now, what you going to do? Do you truly care about where your soul ends up? Because you care. You better be ready to fight and die. if necessary. Yahuah calls upon it. But the righteous remnant, we're going to live. He said it's going to be a righteous remnant. He didn't say we weren't going to fight. He said we were going to win the battle when we go fight. And I'm talking about physical, by the way, where it's blood, guts, tears, suffrage. Hallelujah. Verse 51, in the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and he appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. And then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the Torah. And so they committed evils in the land. They forsook Yahuah's Torah, and Yahuah said they were being evil. And he drove Yashar'el into secret places, even whatsoever they could flee for help. This is why we're coming into community, so we don't have to run. We're going to be waiting for them. Now, the 15th day of the month of Kib, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altars, and they built their idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side. This is what I was talking about a little earlier, brothers and sisters, with all these churches. What they call these things on top of the church? It's really a phallus symbol. It's a sex symbol. The steeple, chapel things up there. Obliques, I think they're called obliques. It's the equivalent of mullah, male, female. Transgenderism. What is above, beneath. What's above is under. That's why all these churches have them. Some of them are in cross form, some look like a chimney, some just like an antenna. They're there. Inside the buildings, they got the altars, they got, they got the flags, the astral poles, they're in there. They're everywhere. You have to have eyes to see it. But what about the storefront? Well, the storefront is just a baby then. Give it time. It'll become them, the little small ones trying to become the big ones. Hallelujah. But y'all gonna get them. Y'all is going to get every one of those wicked Israelites among us who betrayed us, brothers and sisters, with their churches, their lies, telling us don't keep the Torah, don't keep Shabbat. Verse 55, they burnt incense at the doors of their houses and their streets. And when they had rent in pieces the cipher of the Torah, which they found, they burnt them with fire. They're going to come after this book. Why David said the Torah of Yahuah is worth more than silver and gold, brothers and sisters. This is life. This is a treasure beyond treasure. Because this is who we are as a people. This is our history. This is our coming back. This is our strength. This is our identification. This gives us, not only leverage on this earth, this allows us to take dominion on this earth again. And they know it. That's why they want it shut and destroyed. But we're going to open it, we're going to learn it, and we're going to live it. And we'll fight to death to defend it. So Yahuah will fight with us. They wanted to burn them up, and they're coming again for it. Look at verse 57. And whoever was found with any cipher of the covenant, or of any committed to the Torah, the king's commandment was that they should be put to death. You get how important the book is now? You get how important the book is now. This is why we're here Wednesday night, so you can learn the book. Learn your identity. Find your place back where y'all want us at. The head, not the tail. Stop letting people take advantage of you and exploit you, paying into a system that despises you. Trusting a government that has targeted you. Worshiping gods that weaken you. Not strengthen you. That's a lie they tell us, or told us. Still tell us. Some of us used to believe it. We don't believe those lies anymore. Our eyes are open now, and they'll never be shut again. Verse 58. Thus did they by the authority unto Yashar'el every month, as to as many that they were finding in the cities. With that Torah, they were killing us. And they're going to try to do it again. And many of us are going to, be tested. You see, those who want to do the Torah and New Testament, they're going to get destroyed. There's going to be no protection for them. Double-minded, between two opinions, never going to work. Better come all the way out. Verse 59. Now the 5 and 25th day of the month, the 25th of the month, they did sacrifice upon the altar, the idol altar, which was upon the altar of Elohim. Isn't that interesting, the 25th? What is the 25th known for? We know Christmas is on the 25th. And who celebrated on Christmas, brothers and sisters? Who? The birth of their what? Their heathen God, Jesus, Yahuah. They celebrated. The heathens do. Many of our people, well, he was born in the spring. It doesn't matter what he was. Long and short, do you serve the one they talking about? Yes, you do. Quit lying. You reading the same book they read now, teaching the same gospel they teach from, the same epistle letters they teach from. How is that not the same Elohim? You really sound really stupid. Doing everything they're doing, but you're not doing what they're doing. Because you want to change its color. Now on the 25th of the month, they did sacrifice upon the altar, which was on the altar of Elohim. In other words, they replaced their God with Elohim. So he was sitting at the right hand of the Father, or that his throne was above Yahuah's throne. Whatever lies they tell to justify their believing in that heathen God, the Yahuah. And those who in Islam, Muhammad or Allah, whatever, you too. Verse 60. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. So daughters, that's why I'm saying you better get under here with us. So we can fight with you, fight for you. So you can fight with us and fight for us. And they hang their babies. You want your baby killed? Then you better get off your ass and get coming. Come on. Respectfully. And they hanged their children, their infants by the neck, and they shot them. Rifle, meaning they shot them. Remember Mary Turner? Go look up the story of Mary Turner. She was pregnant. And she complained because they killed her husband, who was innocent. And these damn wicked-ass Edomites, not only did they hang her, they cut her belly open. Her child fell to the ground. They shot her to pieces, and they stumped her infant to death. Now, that wasn't 2,000 years ago. That was less than 100 years ago. A little bit over 100 years ago they did that. Right here in America. I think it was in Georgia. You think these heathens changed? And they slew them that had been circumcised them, the women. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. We didn't give a damn about no New Testament talking about Peter, what do you see? Don't call unclean what I call clean. That lie. Even if you were believing that fool, you would know he was talking about Cornelius. He wasn't talking about eating no filthy beast. But then again, I'm not here to promote anything that's in that wicked-ass book, but I do know what's in there. Better than most of them know. Studied it for 30 years. Don't tell me. Know exactly what it means and what it was saying. It's full of paganism and idolatry and gods that's trying to supplant Yahuah. Just like it said right here that I just read. They would try to create their God and put him in Yah's temple, which caused an abomination, trying to put him in the place of Yahuah, which is an abomination. Verse 63, wherefore they rather die. That many of us was confirmed, had made it up our minds, we would not eat any unclean thing. Their pig, their lobsters, their crabs, their crawfish, their shrimp, their calamari, nothing unclean. Their catfish, if it had scales, if it didn't have scales, we were not going to eat it. We were resolved to stand for Yahuah, and we didn't care what they would do to us. Verse 63 says what? Wherefore they rather die, that they may not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant, means the Torah, or Yahuah, or the Torah of Yahuah. And so they died. And there was a great, great wrath upon Yashar'el. Now I'm going to stop right there. y'all willing, we'll pick up again. Maybe Shabbat. We'll go into consequences of those who listen to these heathen and what happened to them. We'll see. But I'll end this message by this, brothers and sisters. Go over to the book of Proverbs. Hallelujah. And again, I hope you have thumbed this message up by now. I hope you've subscribed to this channel if you haven't. I hope you're sharing this with your folks, the people you love and care about. At least give them an opportunity to tell you no. Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid. I don't care if they call me crazy. They call me whatever they want to call me. I know what Yahuah called me. Called me blessed and highly favored of him. Called me a righteous man. The book of Proverbs chapter 4, starting in verse 1. Hear you children, the instruction of a father, and attend to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine. Forsake you not my Torah. For I was my father's son, tender and his only child in the sight of my mother, talking about Bathsheba and David. He taught me also and said unto me, let your heart retain my words, guard my commandments and live. Verse 5. He said unto me, get wisdom and get understanding, and forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. He said, forsake her not, and she shall guard you, talking about the wisdom that comes from this Torah. And love her, and she shall keep you. He says wisdom, verse 7, is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all you're getting, get an understanding. I hope your understanding has increased due to this teaching today. Taxation without representation is fool's gold, brothers and sisters. We don't invest in our oppressor. We don't serve the heathen gods. We serve the sovereign one and only Yahuah. And that's where our righteousness is. He will bless those who keep his commandments. We read it last night. He will protect those who obey his Torah. And if by chance we were to die, we're going to land right in a cool, dry place, the bosom of redemption, the bosom of restoration. And when our eyes are awakened again, what did the book say? Isaiah 64:6 says? He said, our eye would have not seen, ears would not have heard, nor would it have entered in our minds the things that Yahuah has prepared for those of us who serve him through his Torah, who come together as one people and not participate in the heathen system of anything. This book tells us the soul that sin will die. Save your soul. Come out, brothers and sisters. Stand for this truth. Stand with me. Help support this work. It's only going to get better for us as it gets worse for them. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Again, thumb up the message. Subscribe to the channel. Share it. Okay? Go to work. Come. Looking for you. Help. Okay? Help ourselves. And Yahuah is right there with us. 1 1,000 fight. 2 10,000. Will not be afraid by the arrows by day or the terrors by night. Why? Because Yahuah is by our side. And he's given us leadership like unto you, your brother. So stand, fight, unite. Come home, Yashar'el. Shalom. Elder DFG.